Are live.
Yay!
Yeah.
So we're talking to ourselves.
Fire in the hill. In the pines of Idaho, Weaver built his stand. A cabin for his family, a rifle in his hand. Entrapment on a shotgun, the marshals laid the snare. They marked him as an outlaw for choosing to live there. August brought the fire, Sam Weaver hit the ground. His dog was shot beside him, no warning, just a sound. Vicky stood with baby in the cabin door that day. A sniper's round from Horiuchi took her life away. Yeah, the hills turned red, the news turned black, but the Justice Department never looked back. Down in Texas, Koresh preached the end of days. Families gathered faithful in their holy place. But Ross and Cam were whispering to the press, calling them a cult so the feds could make a mess. NBC cameras fear on replay, the ATF itching for a raid that day. Helicopters swarming, tanks broken, children crying loud through the smoke within. Janet Reno's pen made the order true, but Clinton's hand signed the raid through. 82 bodies in the fire remain, charred in the chapel while America was shamed. And the flames rose high, the nation wept, but the broadcast told the lies they kept. The truck exploded, children gone, but one man's face couldn't stand alone. Witnesses whispered of a second hand, a shadow fleeing through the dust and sand. The papers wrote McVeigh bold and clean, but survivors swore there was more unseen. Guided by forces he could never name, a fall guy chosen for a deeper game. A pale horse rider on the radio waves, William Cooper spoke of the graves. Ruby Ridge, Waco, the lies they spun. He warned the world what was still to come. False flags rising, freedom betrayed. 9/11 visions in the words he laid. Branded a madman, hunted, despised, but the truth he told still burns in our eyes. November night, Arizona ground, police at his door, shots rang out loud. Silenced his voice, but the book remains, every page carved with the people's pain. Fire in the hills, smoke in the sky, Ruby Ridge shadows where the children died. Waco burned and the city cried, but the truth keeps living though the prophets died. From Clinton's pen to the years ahead, the blood runs deep in the trails of the dead. Fire in the hills, blood in the sand, the people betrayed by their own command.
Hello, guys. I'm Heather, and this is Tracy, and we are the Justice Warriors, and we are here tonight to talk about Gary Sutton. Now, we have talked about Gary Sutton before. He is my client on death row. He is currently in Riverbend, but there is a new development in this case, not a happy one, unfortunately, but one that we have been anticipating for quite some time. It seems that it was announced yesterday that Gary Sutton has been given a new execution date. Before we get into all that, we are going to go back over the case for you. Um, yes, Judy, that's why we're here today. We're ramping back up and we're going to start talking about Gary and pushing it to the public more again. Trying to see who all's here. It looks like
I can't even see it. I don't even get mine. Okay, I think, here we go. Hey, Judy. Hi, Richie.
Okay, so I'm just going to start from the beginning, like we never even talked about his case. It has been a long time since we have talked about his case. We kind of hit a brick wall a while back. We had really been going at it hard for a while, and then we just weren't getting anywhere with the governor, with Governor Bill Lee, and he had said he had made it clear that he was not going to review the case or even talk about the case until the protocol was put back in place. What that was that the state of Tennessee had put a halt on all executions because of some problems with the lethal injection. That protocol was put back in place quite some time ago, but when we went back to Governor Lee again to make good on his promise to review the case once the protocol was put back in place, then he moved the goalpost on us and changed it to when Gary got an execution date. Well, as of yesterday, Gary does have an execution date. It is currently set for December 3rd, 2026. So that is where we are at now. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to look at a PowerPoint presentation.
Just take me
All right.
off. Yeah, okay. I gotcha.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to open this up. Hi, baby. All right, this is the same presentation that I showed to the senator and some of the state reps when I had a meeting with them a while back. I can't remember. It's been quite a while ago now. Gary Wayne Sutton. This is a recent mugshot. My name is Heather Cohen. I'm a licensed private investigator in this beautiful state of Tennessee. Today I'm here to discuss with you the evidence that I've personally gathered and or seen with my own eyes that proves that there is an innocent man named Gary Wayne Sutton who has been sitting in Riverbend Prison awaiting execution for more than 3 decades. Before I go into this evidence, I would like to share some of the backstory of how I came to be involved in this. You see, Gary's attorneys at the Federal Defender's Office refused to speak with him for about 12 years. Gary begged them time and time again to run ballistics on shells and to ask to question the witnesses and jurors, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. With nowhere else to go for help, Gary and his family called me. Now, I've been working this case for a couple of years, and this is even dated, so it's even longer than that now. And I wish I could say that it was my amazing skill set as a private investigator that uncovered the evidence that I'm about to share with you, but sadly, that's not the case. It was always right under their noses. All it took was just a little digging and knocking on a few doors to find it. I'm confident that once you hear and see it with your own eyes, it will not leave you confused about what was wrong with the investigation and the judicial process. Rather, it will leave you wondering if there was anything right about it. Oh my gosh, my dog's gonna start freaking out now. So the case summary is this. On February 24th, 1992, Tommy Griffin was found shot to death on the riverbanks of Blount County, Tennessee. Oh my God. You know what, I may have to run real quick and get him in the bedroom. Hold on 1 second.
Of Blount County, Tennessee. His sister, Connie Branham, who had gone out
Yeah,
looking for
yeah.
him
You go ahead and take over for a minute.
after he didn't return home from a night on the town, was found burned alive in her vehicle just 4 days later in Sevier County, Tennessee. Witnesses for the state testified they had seen Griffith at Howie's Hideaway, a local bar, with Gary Sutton and James Dillinger, who is Gary's uncle. Sutton's uncle. On the night that Griffin was murdered, as a matter of fact, Sutton and Griffin were close friends, and the three men could be found frolicking around town, as many men their age do.
However, on this particular evening, after an altercation at the bar with two men known only as Chief and Cowboy, Griffin went on his own way and was later arrested for public intoxication. You can read the next. We'll alternate. How about that?
Okay. Upon his arrest, the arresting officer noted that Griffin seemed scared, but that he wouldn't tell him why or what had happened. He also noted that Griffin was with two older gentlemen driving a dark-colored truck. These men have never been identified.
While Griffin was in the drunk tank that night, his trailer was set ablaze. When a family member noticed the fire, they asked Dillinger if Griffin was inside, and he told her that Griffin was with a woman that he had met at the bar. Dillinger also reportedly refused to go near the fire because he said he was already in enough trouble. Sutton and Dillinger then went to the jail and bailed Griffin out. Both men have maintained that upon release, Griffin left with the same woman from the bar who they say had dark hair and was driving a Ford Falcon.
Detectives claim to have found spent shells at the crime scene. At the crime scene of the fire?
No, the crime scene where they found Griffin's body.
Okay. That matched shells discovered at Dillinger's trailer. However, just weeks prior, Dillinger's trailer had been shot up. A report was filed at that time. Correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
when his trailer was shot up, he called the cops. There was a report filed. Yes.
So this would raise the question of whether the shells discovered were from Dillinger target practicing, as they claim, or whether they were from the firearm that was used by the person or persons who had previously shot up Dillinger's trailer.
The state didn't have any evidence tying Gary Sutton to the crime other than the gross speculation that Sutton and Dillinger were together the entire weekend of which the crimes occurred. However, Sutton had a witness that testified that he was with her all weekend. Nonetheless, the state refused to separate the two men's trials, stating in open court that if they did so, Sutton would walk because they had nothing tying him to the crime. Both men were convicted and sentenced to death based on manufactured circumstantial evidence. So now we're going to talk about the detectives of the case. Detective Widener, TBI agent Davenport, and the Brady and the Brady violations.
My go?
Yep.
Illegal arrest warrants. Transcripts from the Sevier County trial prove that
It's severe.
Severe,
But, yeah. It's okay. Go ahead.
Sevier County trial proved that Detective Widener lied about having eyewitnesses in order to obtain an arrest warrant. When confronted by Judge Ogle, Widener admitted to having lied. Okay,
TBI
there's the first
agent.
one.
Yep, there's our first lie. TBI agent Davenport also told the same lie for an arrest warrant in Blount County. Davenport was not called to testify in Blount County due to the fact that while testifying in Sevier County, he was exposed for forging investigator Mark Turner's signature on a 3-page statement that he, Davenport, claimed Gary Sutton had given to him, Davenport, during an unauthorized visit to with Sutton at the Sevier County Jail while Sutton was represented by an attorney, by the way. Gary maintains that he did not make the statement that Davenport claims that he made. So there's another lie.
Okay, Sevier County transcripts also reveal that Detective Widener, see, there's a different name. Is that the same? Widener.
Same guy, just different spelling. Bear with me.
Widener
I didn't have an editor.
Widener lied to Judge Sexton in order to obtain a search warrant of James Dillinger's trailer, where they allegedly found a shotgun and shells that they claim matched the shells found at the crime scene 3 days later. Despite having admitted to fabricating evidence for the search warrant, Judge Ogle allowed evidence found during that search.
3 days after Tommy Griffin's body was discovered, and after having searched James Dillinger's property, Detective Widener returned to the crime scene and claimed to have found shotgun shells that he had allegedly missed the first time around. Sutton and Dillinger's defense attorneys enlarged the photographs of the crime scene on that day that Griffin's body was found on February 24th, 1992, and placed that photograph next to the same crime scene photos taken when the shells were discovered 3 days later, showing that they are not in the first photograph, but they seem to have miraculously appeared after Widener performed the search warrant on Dillinger's property. Can anyone tell me what is wrong with this picture?
There's a big red circle in it.
Tracy, you're such a smartass. There's an orb. No, what is wrong with this picture? And see, I'm not a big gun expert, or, I mean, I've shot guns, but I've never been like an avid hunter or anything. So this isn't even something I would have noticed. But when I presented this to the gentleman that I had the meeting with, the senator and the state reps, they were able to recognize this without me even saying it. But what is wrong with this picture is that these shells are lying in a bunch together, and they're even like parallel to each other. Yeah. And most people who know anything about shooting, which I'm not one of them, would know that this is impossible, that the shells would have gone every which direction, and for them to have landed right there in a bunch parallel to each other, it's just next to impossible. And it's very suggestive that somebody had just kind of leaned down and dropped them in that place.
Mm-hmm. Out of a hand. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the picture I just showed you is an actual crime scene photo of shotgun shells that were entered into evidence that allegedly matched shells found in Dillinger's trailer, as if it wasn't bothersome enough that the shells were not found until the second search of the crime scene. It should be noted that they are laying side by side, and this isn't something that immediately jumped out at me, but I know that some of you who are avid hunters would have known that this is virtually impossible. Here's another problem with the trial. That disgraced medical examiner Charles Harlan was one of the state's key witnesses, and his main responsibility was to determine the time and date of death. He was the one that had to testify to how long Tommy Griffin had been deceased. The state I believe, just shopped around for a medical examiner that would give the testimony that fit their narrative. And Dr. Charles Harlan, who was under investigation by the TBI at the time that he testified in this trial, gave testimony that Tommy Griffin was murdered on the night of February 21st, 1992. Scientific evidence did not support this theory due to the fact that Griffin's body was in full rigor mortis when it was discovered on February 24th, 1992, and that a body does not stay in rigor mortis past 36 hours. However, the state needed to prove that Griffin was murdered on the 21st in order for it to fit the narrative that James Dillinger and Gary Sutton were the perpetrators of this crime, because Sutton was accounted for Friday evening on. Harlan, who is now deceased, was exposed for falsifying reports, and he was stripped of his medical license. Many cases that he testified in have already been overturned, and several others are currently being reinvestigated.
And some want it to be investigated, and they are unfortunately still trying to get signatures to have them reinvestigated. And one of those happened to have 2 men as suspects. And
Right.
it was from 1995, and not Gary and Dillinger.
Right. So exculpatory evidence and an alternate suspect. This is where my investigation comes in, some of the work that I did. I had talked to various people, and Lester Festus Johnson. This gentleman right here, he is a real character, okay? He, very, very sadistic man, very, there's no words, really. In 1992, he would have been 41 years old. He was driving a white Dodge D100, and that is the proof I have of that is one, his comp and a comp report that I ran on him, and the statement of it says Kirby. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's something Kirby, and he was a sheriff's deputy, and he had arrested him, and he knew him well, and so he gave me a statement, and he knew that that's what he was driving. He was arrested for violent crimes. He threatened witnesses from jail in a case where he had slit a woman's throat. He had the motive. He had opportunity. He had confessed to his wife that he had cut Hartman's throat for info pertaining to his cousin Michael Vaughn's assault. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but his cousin's assault, Michael Vaughn's assault, I believe is directly related to this case. I believe that was it. Essentially, it's how it all started. It's his motive. He was dropped off in Sevier County before sunset on the day that Griffin went missing. That's also part of his ex-girlfriend Marianne Husky's statement. He was allegedly a member of a motorcycle club. I know I'm not supposed to use the word motorcycle gang, so I know that now. I didn't know that when I made this PowerPoint presentation, so I'll go ahead and correct that now. It's a motorcycle club, and that club was made up. Yes, sorry to all our motorcycle club gentlemen out there. That motorcycle club was made up mostly of Native Americans. Lauren Kirby, there it is. Also in the Declaration of Lauren Kirby. So here's our vehicles side by side.
I'm shooting that to you.
Yeah, okay, so key witness, and this is incorrect. Oh, God, I'm finding all kinds of problems with this. It wasn't Brenda Gordon, I'm sorry, it was Barbara Gordon. Key witness Barbara Gordon's statement to me was that she was never certain that the white Dodge truck was the Ram driven by Dillinger. When she was shown the picture of the D100, when I showed her the picture of the D100, Gordon wasn't sure if it was the D100 that she saw that morning or if it was the Ram. It's also important to note that Dillinger's ram had factory wheels with an emblem on them, and Miss Gordon never mentioned the distinguishing fact that they had the emblem. She doesn't recall seeing the emblem. It could be due to the fact, as her son testified, that there was no possible way that she could have gotten a good look at the vehicle from where she claimed to have been standing when she witnessed this white truck fleeing the crime scene. So in order to really help you guys to understand this, I need to explain that Barbara Gordon's statement, she lived close to the crime scene where Tommy Griffin's body was found, and she claimed to have seen this vehicle, this white truck fleeing, and they used her to establish that it was James Dillinger's white truck, that it was James Dillinger fleeing the scene, or James and Gary fleeing the scene in the white truck. I received Mr. Kirby's name from Allie Finn, who was the Nashville Public Defender's Office. They represented James Dillinger. I met with Miss Finn after Dillinger's death. While she was unable to provide me with the copies of her work product, she was able to share details of her investigation as part of Dillinger's defense team. So when she gave me Lauren Kirby's name, I went and visited him at his Sevier County home, and he was able to give me a statement and a declaration containing this pertinent information that further supports my theory that Lester Johnson was the real perpetrator of this crime. Having known Johnson for many years and having been law enforcement in Sevier County, Kirby was able to confirm that Lester Johnson's Dodge D100 was in fact white. You can take this one.
Too?
It was white.
Oh, white. I thought you said whiten. Okay, white.
Oh. Okay, you can take this.
Okay. Gary Sutton has always maintained that after bailing Tommy Griffin out of jail that fateful Friday evening, he, Griffin, left with a heavy-set woman with dark hair who was driving what he thought was a dark-colored Ford Falcon.
Also in the documentary, Agent Davenport states that he identified a woman who matched the description given by Sutton and Dillinger of the dark-haired, this is what they said, ugly, fat woman driving a Ford Falcon that Griffin had left the jail with once that they bailed him out. But as stated by Davenport, that this woman did not have an alibi, but he still chose to clear her. She said she didn't know them and she had no connection to it. So who was this woman? We should have had all of the interviews conducted by the investigators, but this was not in the discovery. So that would make at least 3 Brady violations due to the fact that this information was not present in the discovery that was handed over to the defense. Go ahead.
Okay. I was looking at our website, at our Justice Warrior page.
Oh.
Among witnesses interviewed by P.I. Heather Cohen is the victim of Johnson's assault in North Carolina, Tina Hartman. Miss Hartman had firsthand knowledge about the woman in what was believed to be a Ford Falcon. Miss Hartman stated to Cohen that the vehicle was in fact a Ford Fairlane that was being driven by Robin Sutton and Penny Lewis. Ash? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was like her nickname or another last name or something. I don't know.
Both of these women were known associates of Lester Johnson. Is that name Sutton any relation?
No relation, no.
All right, no relation. Let me throw that in there before we go any further. Associates of Lester Johnson.
Right.
Ms. Hartman claims to have tried many times to come forward with information that could help Dillinger and Sutton. Gary Sutton.
Yeah, but then nobody would listen. So this is it's not like the exact vehicles, but these are vehicles I pulled off of the internet. So this is what a black Ford Fairlane would look like next to what a black Ford Falcon would look like.
My husband his first car was a Ford Fairlane.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
interesting.
his first.
Was he in Sevier County? No.
No, he was in
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Naples, Florida, and he was
Um,
16.
You know me. Everybody's a suspect. No, I'm just
Everybody,
kidding.
even me.
Where were you on? No, I'm kidding. So, information intentionally left out of witness Jason McDonald's statement. McDonald provided me with an affidavit which states that he told investigators that he saw a dark colored boxy vehicle, which matches the description of the Ford Fairlane, fleeing the area after hearing the gunshots. McDonald claims that the prosecution did not ask him that question when he was on the stand. Therefore, the jury never heard that evidence that would have supported Sutton's statement that Griffin left the jail with a woman in a dark colored Ford Falcon or Fairlane. This is they're just very problematic to me because it seems that they were very deliberate in making sure that, you know, the witnesses only said what they were meant to say, what they wanted them to say. So Lester Johnson had motive and means to kill Tommy Griffin and Connie Brannon. Tommy Griffin was murdered because Johnson believed that Griffin was involved in an assault on a man named Michael Vaughn, which left Vaughn paralyzed. Vaughn's cousin, Lester Johnson, was determined to vindicate Vaughn, and in his pursuit of that, he copped his own charges for cutting a woman's throat named Tina Hartman. Johnson was charged, but somehow managed to escape conviction through his relentless witness tampering. The North Carolina prosecutor on that case, General Clapsaddle, said that Johnson was the most dangerous person she ever tried to prosecute. She too received death threats from Johnson while awaiting his trial. In fact, she had to have security around her house. According to Marianne Husky, Johnson's girlfriend at the time of the murders, she picked up Johnson from the jail after he was released from, you know, being charged, and he got off of those charges, and dropped him off in Sevier County before sunset on the day that Tommy Griffin disappeared, February 21st. Oh, not 2023. What the crap? Okay, I just saw another oopsies. So 1992, February 21st, 1992. TBI agent Davenport makes the crucial mistake of mentioning that there were two other suspects called Chief and Cowboy that were interviewed, but he cleared them because they did not leave the bar when Sutton, Dillinger, and Griffin left, and because Chief and Cowboy did not have serious criminal histories. This information was also not disclosed to the defense and was not brought up at trial. Chief and Cowboy are important to this case because, one, they had gotten into an altercation with Sutton, Dillinger, and Griffin at the bar. Two, they're likely the two older gentlemen that Griffin was with when he was arrested for public intoxication. And three, because it's likely that Chief is the same man who goes by that alias that was a member of the same motorcycle club as Lester Festus Johnson. I'm going to skip over this because I don't want to name Chief and Cowboy publicly since I'm not certain that I have the right people. Supporting evidence, Jason McDonald provided an affidavit which states that he told investigators that he saw a dark colored boxy Cadillac or Oldsmobile vehicle leaving the area where he heard the gunshots. McDonald claims that the prosecution did not ask him that question when he was on the stand, and as far as I've seen, it is not mentioned anywhere in the file. This could be considered exculpatory evidence. Barbara Gordon provided an affidavit stating that she was uncertain whether the white truck she saw was a Dodge Ram or a D100. Bobby Floyd provided a declaration stating that Al Schmelzer, I can never say that name right, Schmelzer, Al Schmelzer, Sevier County prosecutor, and Mike Flynn, Blount County prosecutor, came to see him while he was incarcerated, and that they offered him a deal. He might have been intoxicated too. I don't know. But offered him a deal on his charges in exchange for his testimony against Gary Sutton and James Dillinger. Floyd also provided information pertaining to the Sevier County Sheriff dropping his charges in exchange for an illegal weapon. Miss Tina Hartman provided a lengthy and valuable statement pertaining to Lester Johnson being released from jail on the day that Tommy Griffin went missing and regarding the Ford Fairlane. So I'm gonna skip to the conclusion here because I have other stuff that I want to bring up too. The Nashville office was able to obtain the SBI file. That's going to be the file pertaining to Lester Johnson's attack on Tina Hartman.
Which
it
is
was
South Carolina. Which is S. What's S for?
SBI. It was Special Bureau of Investigations. It was an Indian
Reservation.
Reservation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the attack, her throat being cut, the incident. It occurred at a motorcycle convention, a Harley Davidson motorcycle convention in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Yes, I've been there when that's been going on. I have. Yes, I've been to Cherokee many times.
Yeah. So, I was able to locate and interview Mr. Kirby to obtain crucial information pertaining to Johnson's D-100. While the SBI file was missing important documents that would have been helpful for Sutton's case, such as subpoenas and handwritten notes, there are other avenues that we can take to find more evidence that supports the alternate suspect theory. The information that we have should suffice to at least reopen discovery and secure an order from the court for the TBI to hand over their investigative file, which they have not done and they don't like to do. With that file, I believe that we would find even more evidence supporting the alternate theory and to prove Gary's innocence, or at the very least to prove that exculpatory evidence was withheld and that the evidence that was withheld would absolutely have affected the outcome of the conviction. So where we're at now is that Gary has received his execution date, and we have absolutely got to get the governor's attention. He has to look at this. And I can't believe, I mean, we've had several press conferences. I know Dennis Ferrier cornered him at one of his press conferences. It's been a couple years ago, trying to ask him when he was going to review Gary Sutton's file. He's just been very evasive about it. And if they execute this man, they will have an innocent man's blood on their hands, period.
Claude Garrett, in 1992, Claude Garrett was wrongfully convicted of murder. Same time frame, same year, with Dr. Harlan's testimony playing a significant role, which is very much the same as this case. Claude Garrett was exonerated after serving time in prison. So if Claude Garrett can be exonerated with the same years, same medical, Gary needs to also.
Right. Yeah. I mean, James Dillinger died in prison a few years ago. He died on death row. There were a lot of people, I think even Gary would probably admit, James Dillinger was mean as a snake. But Gary was not. And, there may be people in that town who knew James that just because of who he was would believe that he was capable of something like this. And maybe he was capable of it. But that doesn't mean he did it. And Gary absolutely didn't do it and absolutely was not capable of doing it. And anybody that knows Gary knows who he is, the kind of character that he has, knows that it's just not who he is. And not only
larger? Can we go back larger? Are we done with it? Are we done with
Done with
sharing
the,
the screen?
I'm done with the PowerPoint. But
Okay.
I wanted to
Some
share this
photographs?
because,
Okay.
well, this came out yesterday,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah, yesterday.
Mm.
Yeah, yesterday. Blount County, Tennessee, the state of Tennessee has set an execution date, December 3rd, 2026, for Gary Wayne Sutton, who was convicted of murder of a brother and sister, but has maintained his innocence. In two separate trials, Gary was convicted of murdering Tommy Griffin in Blount County and Connie Branham in Sevier County. Now let's talk about that for a minute, because it was really strange how they did that. They did the trial in Connie's case before doing in Sevier County, before doing the trial in Blount County for Tommy's case. And the in Connie's trial, they were able to convince the jury that they killed Connie to cover up that they killed Tommy, because Connie was poking around and trying to find her brother and trying to find out what happened to her brother. And so that's the motive that they used in the trial for Connie. But it's so ass backwards because they had not proved that Tommy, so it like worked against each other, because it's like, they said, that was their motive for Connie, so they got the conviction for Connie, and then they went back and got the conviction for Tommy, but it was like both played into each other, because since they had already, and the Sevier County trial was not supposed to come into the Blount County trial, but it did. And so it was like, oh, okay, well, he was already found guilty of Connie, and so that must mean that that they killed Tommy.
What
So it
was
was
the Connie's?
very,
What was Connie's? What with Connie? We know with the cars and all that, but what did they have on Connie's to say that that's who killed her?
I mean, other than that, they killed Tommy, allegedly. I mean, that's it. It was just motive. There was really essentially no evidence on either of them. But there was, I mean, with Gary, and when I interviewed the jurors in this case, what I was really getting a lot was that people were really struggling with, even if they really felt that James did it, they didn't really feel that convinced about Gary. And they didn't like that it was literally like, to convict one, you had to convict the other. Gary was guilty by association. He just went down with his uncle because of who his uncle was, and because of his uncle's background. And I think it seems to me like the prosecution just really had it out for James Dillinger, and just really wanted to nail him to the wall, and Gary was collateral damage in that. Uh, so
So yeah, there's several. Like I say, in 1995, there was the what is her name? Christy Lynn Carroll, who 200 miles away, two guys.
okay, LC, whoever LC is, can you specify who your Tommy always had a room at Gary's house? They were like brothers. Yes. Yeah, Gary has said so many times that he loved Tommy, you know, and I've heard from several people that um, that Gary stood up for Tommy. Gary loved Tommy and like a brother. And as a matter of fact, I had even heard at one point that that Tommy's Tommy and Connie's sister had even written Gary in jail and told him that she knew he didn't do it. So, but Elsie, I don't know who Elsie is. He was an arsonist. Are you talking about James? Oh, James Dillinger. James Dillinger was an arsonist. I mean, maybe that's so. I know there was some there were some charges like that. There's not a lot of people that would dispute that James Dillinger was not a great guy. He was not a great guy. I don't believe that James Dillinger had anything to do with this either, but even if he did, that didn't mean that Gary did. And Gary had an alibi. Gary was with his girlfriend all weekend, and his girlfriend had adamantly fought for him and stood up for his innocence. She knew, she knows, she's always known that there was no possible way that he did this. And so then the attorneys asked for separate trials for both of them, and they said on the court files that they know that they wouldn't. Right. Yeah, Judy. We mentioned that in the beginning of this, that it was actually said in open court. Mean, spiteful man that done a lot of house burning. That may be so. James Dillinger may have been the devil for all I know. But I mean, he died in prison. He's gone now, and now we're fighting for Gary, who is an innocent man and did not do this, and that's it. I mean, that's really all there is to say about that. So we're just going to ask, you know, we're going to keep talking about Gary. We're going to keep pushing it to the public. We're going to start doing our press conferences again and start trying to get the governor's attention again. And we're just going to make as much noise as we possibly can, I guess, between now and December 3rd, 2026. Hopefully the governor has enough of a conscience that he at least wants to review this before he puts a man to death. But I mean, we're going to do everything we can. There is a okay, that is in Spanish. Oh no. What is this? Go away. Okay, here we go. So I don't know what this. Oh, problema. Problema. I don't freaking know why that's in Spanish. But there's a petition on change.org to sign. I'm sure there's. I made this, so I don't know why. I don't know why it's in Spanish.
I don't think the whole thing is just the title.
Yeah, but why?
Oh no, it is. Yeah.
But anyway, we have 487 signatures to exonerate Gary Sutton. We're asking that everybody please, 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 please sign this. I know it seems small, seems like nothing, but we need everybody's voice. If you really want to try to make some noise, help us by sending a letter to Governor Lee's office demanding that he look at this case, that he review the evidence or the lack thereof and all the problems with the cases, demanding that he at least have the decency to sit down with us, with the family of Gary Sutton, with me, the private investigator that spent 3+ years talking to people and looking into this case. You are just clickety clacking over there, girlfriend.
I know. I'm sorry I'm making such a, here, let me get me quiet.
You're fine. But yeah, so I mean, just everybody, we need your help. Gary needs your support. He's a good man. Hold on one second. I'm gonna grab something I want to show you guys. All right, he made this for me in prison. It's a little trinket box, and he wrote me this letter, and I'm gonna read it to you guys. He said, I just wanted to make you a few things to say thank you for all your hard work on my case. None of this stuff is much, but hopefully it will say thanks. I'm not good at all on leather, this portfolio. He made me a portfolio too. He was actually great. It was
Can you
all
make
the
it
leather
larger
stuff.
so we can see bigger? No, I meant take away this so we can see the larger, so the screen, shared screen. There, and then
Okay.
let's see the gift again.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Lady Justice, just like on my arm. I got Lady Justice on my arm. See, you can't hardly see it, but yeah, and then on the Lady Justice on the other side, and Lady Justice sash says death row. Can't really see that. Bless you. Anyway, he says, he said he's talking about the portfolio. Maybe he said I've been trying to learn this leather for a while. Wasn't sure on a theme for your purse. Carolyn told me. Okay, I'm gonna skip to the where he's not talking about just the stuff he made me, because this is where it made me cry. He said, you know, for a long time now, I got to where I was at a point of trying to tell people that I didn't do this because no one seemed to ever hear me or care. But thanks to you, at least I feel a little more hope now that I had lost. Anyway, thanks a lot, Heather. Lots of love to you and to your family, Gary.
Let them see it. Let them know how you feel.
It breaks my heart. It really does. They just can't. They can't kill this guy. I hate it. It's. I don't know. It's a cruel world we live in. You know, it really is. And I used to love the idea of being a private investigator and helping people and getting justice and all this. And it's just cases like these. It just seems like one after the other, one case after the other that I work just destroys my faith in the justice system a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Just seeing guilty people being protected and innocent people hanging.
And people that can't admit to being wrong. A lot of ego.
Just this.
And then people get on there and start going after you. Everything's a conspiracy. Well, yeah, because that's what we investigate.
You know, they've created the title conspiracy theorist just to discredit
gaslighting at its finest.
To discredit whistleblowers, to discredit people who, now, I've said this before, I understand that there are people who are delusional that say things, there are people, there are conspiracy theorists, there are things that are just so far out there, and, but to write everything off as a conspiracy theory, to good people, people that truly want justice, people who really are seeking the truth, people who have information that could help to really get true justice, just being shunned and shut down and rejected as whack jobs, like myself. I'm one of them.
Whack job. What does that say about me? If you're the whack job and
you're the wackier job.
That works.
It's like Dumb and Dumber, only wacky and wackier.
I'd rather be a wackier job than be one of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just sad. It's just sad how they just get their narrative and they just stick to it.
And like I said today, somebody said, "Oh, that's all rumor." Rumor can be true. Rumors can be the truth. Rumor does not mean equal lie. Rumor and lie are not together. Rumor.
Well, and the only way to really know if something somebody said is true would be to investigate it. But if you just write it off as rumor without even investigating it, then what are you? You're just
rumors. So that's the truth. Rumor can be a truth.
Well, investigate it. Prove us wrong then.
Yeah.
Prove us wrong.
Okay.
But at least, I mean, isn't that their job? Isn't that what they're supposed to be doing? But it's
other
like
people, rumor. That's just rumor. So
it's either lazy, incompetent investigating, or it's corruption. There's really only
egos. It's egos too. I can't be wrong. I can't be following somebody that's wrong.
Well, and God forbid that a PI end up being right. Like I think that's almost. I think sometimes that's almost even more. It's like, yeah. Like now they certainly can't admit that they were wrong, because then a PI that they've called crazy all these years would have one up on them, right?
Right. Oh, well.
So
they have called you crazy, and we do have one up on them, but that's not the purpose. Thank you very much. We were more than willing to give you everything we had.
Well, we have in many cases given everything we had. I mean, here's on the other end of the spectrum. What about Raquel Jackson's case? It's like
I get so angry.
Raquel Jackson. We gave them everything they needed. I mean, more than enough probable cause to go get the guy that killed Raquel Jackson in Louisville, Kentucky. Not even just Raquel Jackson, but Raquel Jackson and her unborn baby.
He was a serial killer.
And how many years has it been? And the guy's still walking around free. So, it's like when they have all the probable cause in the world, all the reason in the world to look at somebody, but they turn a blind eye. And then you got a case like this. It is absolutely disheartening. And I don't know how anybody could have any faith in our justice system anymore.
Yeah.
I know I don't.
I know sometimes, I guess because we're working the cases that didn't go right. Sometimes some of the cases do go right.
But we've seen it, Crystal Rogers, finally, after all this time, finally. Like
But it's not complete.
But look at what had to happen for that the FBI had to come in. It was not local. I mean, some of the local guys did a good job, but it took the FBI and it took the Kentucky State Police, like, taking over and getting the local guys out.
Well, one of the local eyes is now a person of interest in the whole thing.
Well, yeah, his brother, but it's just, I mean, and that's why, because, you know, but they even knew, even his comrades knew, the sheriff there knew, you know, that's why they fired him, and he no longer
Well,
worked
he
at
was on the
at
police department. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
PD. I mean,
But he was fired from the
KPD.
police department for failing his lie detector test or walking out or whatever the hell it was.
Talking to his brother.
Telling Brooks to walk out. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're all over the place right now. But
Yeah.
I mean, it serves a point though, and that point is, you know, we have seen it both ways. We have seen it where the wrong person is convicted or charged, and we've seen it where um, where they seem to want to turn a blind eye no matter how much evidence there is pointing to someone else. We've seen it both ways, and I think in all my years, well, I guess Holly Bobo's another one too that we could say turned out right. I mean, they're still trying to fight it, but that's, you know, to be expected.
That's just how it does.
Yeah, but and sometimes they get it right, but maybe not all of it right too, which I think could be the case in Bobo. But, you know, so there's some justice in Bobo, there's some justice in Rogers, but it seems like all these other cases that we've worked is like we're still waiting to see.
And there's some
the
justice in Swift, because they put somebody
There
in
still
jail.
hasn't been any justice in Swift.
Well,
the only thing that happened in Swift is that we've at least gotten past their narrative. But
right.
even though they were proven wrong, they still refuse to consider other.
Oh, they just don't believe. They just believe we came in and just took rumor and made all these. And we take the stand? No. Did any of our things take the stand?
Should've.
No. Did witnesses?
I wish they had gotten me on that stand.
Did witnesses?
I wish they would have.
Witnesses didn't take the stand. Did take the stand, and the witnesses are who the jury believed. That's just, it's not a narrative. And they act like we got all these rebel rousers and all these people in there to lie.
Right.
Why?
Yeah, and I don't want to. I don't want to get off on Swift because Swift seems to consume everything we do. But this is about Gary, and this is about this innocent man who is on death row that shouldn't be. And the Governor Lee, if you see this, I am begging you to at least have the decency to have a meeting, sit down with us, review the file, at least make sure that you can live with this decision. And I don't think when you see everything, I mean, if you are a good man, which I don't know you, so I'm not sure, but if you are, I don't think you would want this. I don't think you want this on your conscience, and I don't think you want this.
If Paul Garrett was exonerated, Gary should be exonerated.
Yeah.
Just on the sheer fact that Harlan was, besides the other, but with one small difference, is Harlan was the investigator, forensic doctor on the case.
Right. Well, I think we've covered enough for one night, but we are absolutely not done talking about Gary, and we're gonna really ramp up and talk a lot about Gary as much as we can between now and December 3rd, and hopefully something will happen between now and then that date will change.
And this will be on YouTube. Please subscribe, hit the bell,
Like and share.
like and share. That's what we need you to do. Take this and share it. Share.
Help us to blow this up. Help us to blow Gary's name up. Everybody, every household, at least in Tennessee, needs to know Gary's name. Needs to know Gary's story. And we encourage each and every one of you to be hands-on with this. Call the governor's office. Email the governor's office.
Do you have the phone number?
More than once. And ask him over and over again to review Gary Sutton's case.
Well, let's stay on a little bit so I can put his name up here. Governor Lee. Look, she's going faster than me.
Okay, so I have pulled up Governor Bill Lee's information here,
Okay,
and I will share it.
Yeah, put it in the type of message.
Put it in the comments. Okay, you put it in the comments, and I'm going to this is Governor Bill Lee's information here.
615-741.
You can write him a letter, you can call him, hell, do all of it. All of the above. Call, ask for his email address, send him emails, calls, letters. Review Gary Sutton's case. Do not execute this man. He is innocent.
Excuse that. I accidentally hit. My head. 372.
What are you doing? What are you doing over there?
Well, you keep moving the screen, so. Oh, well. You get the drift.
Oh, shucks. All right, I'm going to leave this up for a minute.
Okay.
But, thank you, Tracy, for sharing that. But I'm going to put the music on and leave Governor Bill Lee's information up. And like, share, and blow Gary Sutton's story up so that everybody knows his name and everybody knows his story. We love you guys, and keep fighting for justice. Bye.
Fire in the hill. In the pines of Idaho, Weaver built his stand, a cabin for his family, a rifle in his hand. Entrapment on a shotgun, the marshals laid the snare. They marked him as an outlaw for choosing to live there. August brought the fire, Sam Weaver hit the ground. His dog was shot beside him, no warning, just a sound. Vicky stood with baby in the cabin door that day. A sniper's round from Horriuchi took her life away. Yeah, the hills turned red, the news turned black, but the Justice Department never looked back. Down in Texas, Koresh preached the end of days. Families gathered faithful in their holy place. But Ross and Kane were whispering to the press, calling them a cult so the feds could make a mess. NBC cameras fear on replay. The ATF itching for a raid that day. Helicopters swarming, tanks broken, children crying loud through the smoke within. Janet Reno's pen made the order true, but Clinton's hand signed the raid through. 82 bodies in the fire remain, charred in the chapel while America was shamed. And the flames rose high, the nation wept, but the broadcast told the lies they kept. The truck exploded, children gone, but one man's face couldn't stand alone. Witnesses whispered of a second hand, a shadow fleeing through the dust and sand. The papers wrote McVeigh bold and clean, but survivors swore there was more unseen. Guided by forces he could never name, a fall guy chosen for a deeper game. A pale horse rider on the radio waves, William Cooper spoke of the graves. Ruby Ridge, Waco, the lies they spun, he warned the world what was still to come. False flags rising, freedom betrayed, 9/11 visions in the words he laid. Branded a madman, hunted, despised, but the truth he told still burns in our eyes. November night, Arizona ground, police at his door, shots rang out loud. Silenced his voice, but the book remains, every page carved with the people's pain. Fire in the hills, smoke in the sky, Ruby Ridge shadows where the children died. Waco burned and the city cried, but the truth keeps living though the prophets died. From Clinton's pen to the years ahead, the blood runs deep in the trails of the dead.